How's it going, guys? Preston or Citizen Response. Got another video coming to you guys today talking about how to instantly shoot your pistol more accurately. So when it comes to shooting a handgun accurately, there's really three pillars that everything rides on. Sights, dependent on how far you are from the target and the level of precision you need, depending on target availability and size and distance. Trigger, the method in which you pull the trigger, and grip is the way that you anchor and vice the gun in so it doesn't move. The sights don't move while you pull the trigger. So this is not a video on how to grip a gun. There's a million videos out there, but it's pretty simple. Get high up and tight, up in the beaver tail, wrap it all up. There's different ways to do it. That's not what I'm talking about today. Today we're gonna specifically talk about some things that you may be doing with the trigger wrong and how in certain circumstances you can instantly shoot more accurately by making these changes. Let's talk about the three types of trigger presses depending on the target size and availability. I'm gonna demo this on the range in a little bit, but we're gonna show you dry so you know what I'm talking about when we get to the range footage. I've taught a lot of people over the years, and I kind of narrow down that we have three types of trigger presses depending on how far the target is from us and the size of the target we're trying to shoot. So the first would be just slapping the trigger, bam. Just as you see right there, I'll show you up close. That's just taking that finger, just slamming the trigger right there. Now some people would say you should never shoot this way. Well, this is not true. Within 3 yards, it doesn't matter. If you have a rock solid grip, you can pull that trigger just like that all you want, and you're gonna keep all those hits in the A zone, provided you have a good solid grip. Now, the second type of trigger press that we're gonna talk about is what I call rolling through the trigger. So that is coming right here and just squeezing through. Notice how I don't have a pause. I'm not finding that wall, slow, steady squeeze through like we do for accurate shooting. I'm just putting my finger on the trigger and rolling through. Now you can still shoot at this pace, rolling through the trigger at a relatively fast pace. You may not be able to pull it quite as fast as jerking the trigger like this, but as you'll see in our range video, you may get some different results from that first technique. Now the final technique is shooting from the wall. Now there's lots of different verbiage for how you define the stages of how a trigger presses, but you have the take up right here, then you have a wall, which is the defined resistance, the creep, and then finally the striker drops. So when we call shooting from the wall is you would have your good solid grip, your sights would be lined up with the target, whether it's a dot or iron sights, and you're going to come find that defined wall, reconfirm your sights are in place, and slow and steady squeeze through. Now, these are three different types of trigger presses, and I'm going to show you at different distances on the range how they may be beneficial to you and how in certain circumstances choosing one over another may yield you instantaneous accuracy improvement with your handgun. We're at the range for the live portion of the video. What we're going to do, we got three targets set up here that are going to demo the three different kinds of trigger presses that we use. This is going to be our slam the trigger however we want. This is going to be our roll through trigger press, and this target is going to be our come to the wall prep and steady break, and I'm going to demonstrate at 5 yards, 10 yards, and 15 yards the different levels of accuracy you can expect with these types of trigger presses. All right, we're here at 5 yards. We are going to work this from the draw. The draw is inconsequential to the point I'm delivering, but it's still good to work it in, so why not? Five yards. This is our 5 yard roll through the trigger. This is our 5 yard roll through the trigger target. Finally, this is our shoot from the wall target at 5 yards. There's our 5 yard shoot from the wall target. We're now at 10 yards. We're going to do the same thing in the same order. There's our 10 yard target. There's our 10 yard roll through the trigger target. That was our 10 yard shoot from the wall target. We are now at 15 yards, going to shoot the targets in the same order as before. That was our 15 yard target. That was the slap the trigger, and there are the results. 15 yards roll through the trigger, there are our hits. There is our 15 yards shooting from the wall target. Try to get all 3 targets in frame here. Let's break down and take a look at our results. We had a lot of low Charlie hits here. We even had one on the line in the bottom of the Charlie. That's me slapping the trigger as hard as I possibly can at every distance. We have less preferred alphas and more in the Charlie than the other 2 targets for sure. Now this target, we've got 1, 2, 3 Charlies total. All the rest are either preferred alpha or acceptable alpha. This is a better way to pull the trigger. Now we have from the wall. Now these, I only had 1 Charlie and it was just a little bit outside. All the rest were acceptable, mostly preferred alpha. So what does this mean? It means at further distances, I absolutely have to work from the wall. Now you need to train and find that where that is for yourself and dictate at what distance I need to really start pulling from the wall. On the flip side, for up close and personal work, I think that rolling through the trigger is our best option. We can still get relatively quick splits between like 0.3 to 0.4 splits, keeping a very, very high acceptable level of accountability with our shooting. Now keep in mind the gun that you're shooting as well. I'm shooting a subcompact gun, so results may be different for you. That far target, it shows to me that in almost no circumstances should I be warranted in just absolutely slapping the trigger and let it run, except for maybe 3 yards and in. So it's just a good data point to keep in mind with your own training. Back from the range, let's go ahead and talk about a little debrief of what we saw. So you could see on the target where I was just slamming the trigger, my accuracy results were poor. So for me personally, running the P365, I may have different results running a full-size gun like a Glock 17, but for that specific test with that specific gun, probably like 3 yards and in is where I can really get away with just running that trigger as fast as I can. Now you start getting at the intermediate distances, 5 to 10 yards is where I can really just roll through the trigger. I don't have to take the time to prep, come to the wall and squeeze through. That takes up more time than I may want to allot for that specific target. Now, you get 12, 13, 15, 20 yards. That for me is where I have to start really paying attention to the wall with that specific gun if I want to keep my shot group nice and tight. So the point of this is try these for yourself the next time you go to the range. And you don't necessarily have to have 3 targets set up like I did. You can just do one, record it or take a picture, take it down, vice versa. So the idea is just get out there, try it for yourself with your own gun and your own setup, and see at what distances you need to use different trigger presses. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. I hope that the information that I presented was useful to you, and if it is, just let me know. You can always shoot me an email or DM me over on Instagram. Now, if you got this far in the video, subscribers know, longtime viewers know that I'd like to talk a little bit about my faith. The reason I do this is because it's really, honestly, the underpinning and most important thing of everything that I do in my life. And I wasn't always a Christian. I was raised in a good Christian household, but I ran away pretty hard when I was in college. And it was only through the blessing of another Christian man who decided to take me under his wing and answer all the many, many questions that I had and show me what it looked like to live a godly Christian life. Man, I'm so blessed, and I want to be that for somebody else. I've been that for other people, but if you don't have someone like that in your life who can answer all those questions or have conversations with you, I'm always available, like I said, through email and DM on Instagram, more than willing to talk with you on the phone. But if so, it's important to have somebody in your direct perimeter that you can meet up with, so maybe go to your local church. I'm sure that there's somebody who would love to sit down with you and talk through if there's something holding you back about, trusting God or believing in the Bible. There's tons of great resources out there. And myself and many other people are more than willing and more than happy to help, push you in the right direction, for lack of a better term. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Get out there, train hard, stay safe.